Hello, class. Today we will be looking at special senses again. Actually, this is the last portion of the special senses we are going to look at. Here we are going to look at a quick step by step process of what happens when our brain tries to balance itself, to prevent you from falling off or to prevent you from having your eye muscles move in the wrong direction, so on and so on. There are various physiological steps that takes place in order to maintain equilibrium for ourselves. So, the first thing that happens when, let's say, you've been hearing something or you basically been knocked out or something like that is that the hair cell in the semicircular ducts of the succulo in the vestibule will be stimulated. So, what does that mean? So, remember this is our ear, right? This is our ear. Pretend this is an ear. And then in that ear, remember we have you have your cochlea, so like your eardrum somewhere there, and then you have like various nerves, your like tympanic membrane and so on and so on. So within this ear there is going to be the semicircular ducts, which involves the utricle and the sucule within here with like just, and those will be stimulated. Okay, and when that is stimulated, since this is part of our special senses, the graded potential will be a receptor potential. Remember, receptor potentials are like the graded potentials for special senses. After we generate that receptor potential, we would then have those neurotransmitters. So it is occurring here. Remember, it is occurring here. Neurotransmitters will be then released onto the associated neuron, which will generate an excitatory postsynaptic potential into an action potential. So remember in the postsynaptic pre and postsynaptic membranes, right? So let's say, oops. So let's say this is our hair cell. It's not the best, but let's say this is your hair cell. This is your associated neuron, right? And then your neurotransmitters, your chemical messengers. Remember, it's going to travel along this cleft, and it's going to send that neurotransmitters all the way here to the associated neuron. Though, those neurotransmitters can then be, let's say, acetylcholine, right, or glutamate. Now that you have then this action potential generated onto this associated neuron, this will occur at the axon of a specific cranial nerve. So again, let's do another drawing. So this is the ear, right? This is our ear. And then inside that ear, you have your cochlea, duct, your membranes, and so on, your eardrums, right? Let's say you have your cochlear branches, somewhere here, not the best drawing, but and then somewhere here you have your eardrums, right? Within that there is a specific nerve, okay, and this nerve is the vestibular branch of cranial nerve 8 that it will try to send signals to. Well, it's not exactly here, but you get the point. It's within heading to your brain. Okay, so there will be an action potential somewhere on the axons of the vestibular branch of cranial nerve 8. Okay, now that you have that action potential sent on the vestibular branch of cranial nerve 8, which I can't really give you an accurate depiction of that, besides just keep in mind it's inside. So within the brain, it's a neurophysiology. Just think of it, it's within the realm of neurophysiology. So now that action potential is propagated on that axon, signals will be sent to the cerebellum part of the brain. And that one I can kind of give you an idea where that would be. So this is our brain, right? Say this is our brain. So, and then our brain has this spaghetti-like area. So signals will be sent here to the cerebellum. And when it is sent to the cerebellum, this will basically help in coordinating muscle contraction. So let's say you want to put your feet in a certain way, so on and so on, to maintain some sort of balance. The cerebellum will be sent with signals through the propagation of action potentials on the axon of the vestibular branch of cranial nerve 8. So from here, it's going to send signals to here, which is this part of the brain. I will just put that, right? And that will help you maintain your muscle contraction by coordinating with it if you want to maintain some sort of balance with those muscles. It will also send signals not just to the cerebellum, it will also send signals to the brain stem. So the brain stem, so it's actually here. That's where your brain stem is. So it will send signals to that brain stem, and what it will do is it will coordinate with the eye muscles as well as with other muscles such as your neck and especially your trunk for maintaining that balance. Okay? Then, not just sending to the brainstem and the cerebellum, this will also send signals on to the thalamus. In fact, the thalamus is part of the brainstem. So, somewhere here. Now, the thalamus will try to relay and process that information before whatever you're trying to balance, the signals that is trying to make you balance goes to anywhere else. The thalamus will relay that information that your receptors have detected that, oh, I might fall off, or oh, my hair cells have detected water, right? Now you're going to try to balance and stay afloat. It will relay that information. So let's give you an idea where these parts are. So cerebellum is somewhere here. This brainstem is actually this whole area. And the thalamus is a specific part there. I'm going to give that a different color. Okay. Okay. Just before we end our lecture for today, I just want to remind that the brainstem and the thalamus are not the same thing. The thalamus is actually right above the brainstem. So if we do a little diagram here, so let's zoom in to this brainstem, for example. So this is your spinal cord, right? And then you have your other parts like the medulla, and then like the pons, so medulla. Then here you have like the pons. This is not an accurate depiction, just saying, just a little, just gives you a little bit of an idea. And then the midbrain, which is over here. These are part of the brainstem. Okay, these three. But on top, there's like the thalamus, which looks like this giant two-eyed monster. Here is the thalamus. This one is not part of the brainstem. So that's why we didn't associate them being in the same category of being sent of signals being sent to, because the thalamus is not part of the brainstem. Okay, so I hope that gives you a little bit of idea what is the physiological process which takes place in maintaining equilibrium for ourself. Okay, see you in the next video.